You're listening to the Beer Craft Beer and Brewing Podcast. Tune in every Wednesday night at 6:30 Pacific for a dose of beer and brewing banter with your hosts, Ben Holm and Andrew Ziegler.
A 24-pack of wit and wisdom in the Pacific Northwest, because it's always beer 30 on
The Beer Craft. Aloha, fellow brewers. Welcome back to the Beer Craft Beer and Brewing Podcast, the podcast where we make brewing as much fun as drinking. I'm Ben.
And I'm Andrew. Today, at least, we, in spirit, we're taking a little trip to Hawaii, a place of the sun, sand, some seriously good tropical beer.
That's right. I recently traveled to Hawaii, and let me tell you, the island flavors have a way of sticking with you. The rhythm of the waves, the smell of the ocean, and most importantly, the taste of tropical fruit and some incredible beers.
You mean you just didn't go for the Mai Tais? Come on.
Well, those were part of the research, but what really caught my attention were the beers that incorporated local flavors like passion fruit, pineapple. That's where today's episode's headed. Hawaiian-Inspired brewing and how you can bring a little taste of paradise into your homebrew.
All right, but before we pack our luggage and put on the sunscreen, this is something we really got to do. Absolutely have to deal with this first.
That's right.
You know
no
what?
trip to the beach can continue, and
You know what time it is. It's
Beer 30.
In the craft beer system, the people are served by two equally important groups: the brewers who make the beer and the bartenders who serve the pints. These are their stories, presented by Northwest Brewers Supply. Mazda Man, with his arms slung over a life-size cardboard cutout of his best friend who couldn't attend the festival for reasons, is drinking his blue ribbon beer surrounded by equally passionate enthusiasts and, of course, a new best friend. All thanks to Northwest Brewers Supply.
About time for a beer?
not time for a beer.
I think it's time for a beer.
What we got?
I got something cool. We picked this up today. It is let's see, Golden Road's Mango Cart.
Golden Road
Mango
Brewing.
cart, as in like there's a picture of a mango cart, side road.
Oh, I love mangoes.
Mangoes are delicious.
Very tropical fruit.
Heck yeah. I had a lot of mangoes in Hawaii. A lot of mangoes, pineapples, guava fruits, passion fruits, and rambutan.
And can we use all of those in our brewing process?
I bet we could if we wanted to.
Yep. I think we're going to talk about that today, yeah?
Ooh, look at that.
Look at that head on that. Oh, yeah.
Ooh,
That's
mango-rific. Holy shit. That is not lying on the mango front.
Here, give me one of those beers.
I'm gonna. I had to clean up a freaking spill on Studio One. Slurpy, slurpy, slurpy. I did the Charlie Bamforth method of pouring with vigor for good head.
No, I
Because
don't like
good
that.
good head beats bad head.
Well, I like my carbonation.
There you go.
So you're going to make another mess.
Almost. There's
that
a
one
little.
is at the edge.
You got a little left in that
I
one.
do.
Yeah.
A little vigor.
A little second sip. A
little
bonus.
second version
A
vigor.
bonus sip. So, Golden Road
Mango
Brewery.
Cart.
Mango Cart.
Perfectly balanced wheat ale.
Uh-huh.
Made with real mango. I mean, they didn't use fake mango on this one.
Oh, it's really
They
good.
made real mango.
You can smell it. Like,
aroma.
even like the, that like kind of earthy, pithy, the stone in the mango. It even,
Yeah.
you even catch the stone in there in the aroma. Oh boy. That's about 10 miles far from sucking. That's really good. You can get it at Hagen. That's where I got it. You should too. Case of them, 6-pack at least. Really good. It's an LA brewery.
LA, if it didn't burn down by now.
Right. The bits
Hopefully.
that didn't burn down now. Apparently they got 4 tap rooms in Atwater Village, Anaheim, downtown LA, and Huntington Harbor.
Nice.
It's kind of cool. It is founded by Meg Gill, one of the only women founders in all of craft brewing.
Right.
Like, it's a
Female-
short list.
Female owned. I love that.
brewery.
I love that.
And she was inspired by her neighborhood. The 400 neighborhoods, 224 languages spoken by 4 million residents in LA, to produce sort of a beer for, or beers inspired by the people she lives with. Very cool. It is a wheat beer, 4%, 2-row and wheat. I imagine those in equal quantities. And Bravo is the hops.
The Bravo hops, nice.
Yeah, very good. Golly, Miss Molly,
This is delicious.
this doesn't suck.
It does. It
Meg,
does
good,
have.
Meg, good job. Jesus
Yeah.
Christ.
Does have that aroma of the mango.
Oh shit.
So there's no hop aroma, which is good. It's
No, it's
perfect.
like 14 IBUs.
Yeah, perfect. And the flavor of the mango, the flavor just comes in.
Oh boy. It's bursting with mango-rificness.
Yep.
I am really enjoying this beer.
I think if this beer was like on ice, if it was ice cold, that it would.
Well, this has been sitting in my car, so that's pretty cold.
It's snowing outside, but it would be gone. I could just quaff this one.
So apparently in their tap room, you can have this LA style.
Which
and
is what?
that's when they rim the glass with tahini.
Yes.
Which,
Which is popular.
if I had any lying around, I'd be doing the exact same thing.
Yep. We were going to.
I'm glad
but
about a 6-pack.
We didn't have a.
We didn't have
the tahini.
Oh man.
And there's another thing that you could buy down south there. I'm pretty sure it'll be in LA, San Diego. When I was in Mexico, there's little containers of this like jelly, and it's round just the size of the pint glass, and you take and you dip that pint glass in. There's like strawberry spiced. There's like a different berry. There's like I think it's chamois.
Oh, that's good stuff.
Chamois.
You didn't bring any, which did you?
No. and
Shame on you.
Yeah, and tamarind.
Oh yeah. That'd be good.
And you put your glass. You could dip it in that, and then throw a little tahini on
and
that.
then the
also.
salt or the
Boom.
tahini. So it's like a gel to like moisten your glass instead of just a lime. You can have it strawberry flavored or tamarind flavored, and that sounds.
That's right. With this mango beer, you would.
God, that would be fantastic.
Maybe put like they have like a chutney or something, a mango pineapple one.
Oh yeah.
And you put that on there.
A little habanero. Whoa.
Habanero.
Dude, this would be really good as a spice. Throw a fucking habanero in the fermenter for this thing.
Yes.
Yes, please. That's one of my favorite salsas, like mango habanero salsa. Just swap your mango for your tomato.
Yep.
Get your rinsed white onion and chopped cilantro. Freaking habanero in there. Shut the fuck up. It's good. We talk about food almost as much as beer on the show. I realize.
Yeah. Speaking of this, we're talking tropical. We're talking Hawaii, but I'm thinking a beer from LA with this kind of a flavor. It looks to me like it's tropical SoCal. I mean, the mango cart, the guys vending the fresh fruit.
The art is pretty fucking cool in the can.
It is.
Oh, this is yours. Here, let me top you off, sir.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
There you go.
Lets the half blind guy pour all the beer in front of next to expensive ass equipment. It's a smart move. Yeah, cool art. Nice yellow can with like street scenes and like a mural painting. Oh, it's fucking cool.
LA in the background.
Yeah, palm trees and.
Now, is there any indication on how they use this mango?
Did not say. Their website was glossy looking, but kind of bare bones. Had a listing for all their beers, and the beer listing was,
They're not
IBUs.
They're not going to tell you.
Yeah, they didn't say shit.
They're not going to tell you how they use their fruit on one of their best beers. And did you look at that? They have a brewery in St. Louis.
Really? Well, that makes sense for like bi-coastal distribution purposes.
Yep.
Fantastic offering from Meg Gill and the good folks at Golden Road Brewery. Shout out. Good on ya. We are enjoying that. Keep up the good work.
Yes.
Man, yeah. How would I use mango?
It's a chore to use a fruit if you're going to do some big production.
Yeah.
You're
Oh,
talking.
sure. my thoughts are that they're using amaretti fruit flavorings, these artisan fruit purees.
Yep.
I've got a few of them in the shop. I've used them. They're pretty slick. They're packed with flavor, and none of the garbage that goes with it. They don't all taste like so much cough syrup, like certain artificial flavors.
Is this like a puree?
Yeah, it's a really
like a
thick
vacuum packed.
Yeah, they're aseptically sealed. They're little bottles. Like I get them in like an 8-ounce bottle.
Okay.
Not very big, but the dosing rate on them is like 7 to 10 ounces per 10 gallons, and that really depends on what you're making. My thinking is if it's a lighter flavored beverage like a seltzer, I did a 5-gallon seltzer with like a tablespoon in 5 gallons. So one bottle is going to be 16 kegs worth
right.
of product. So that was eight, at least 8. Fantastic, goes a long way.
Right.
But in something stronger flavored, you might have to use more. I can't remember. I read on Amaretti's website that a significant portion of the craft beverage sector, if it's fruit flavored, it's their product that's
coming
in it.
From them. Wow.
Because it's so easy to use. I mean, they've got like 32-ounce jugs and buckets and barrels worth of the stuff if you're doing huge volumes.
And the company is Amaretti?
Amaretti.
And where are they located?
I can't remember where they're located. A couple of my vendors started carrying them. I used to use this Brewer's Best flavoring products, and they were okay. Real thin, didn't add anything, fully non-fermentable. These do have a little bit of sugar in them, but you're using such a small amount that added in secondary, you're maximizing for fruit flavor with the addition, but minimizing gas sparging. Gas sparging, new vocabulary word for everybody out there today. Gas sparging, we deodorize liquids by pumping CO2 through it. So literally volatile aromatic compounds hitch a ride on gas bubbles as they float through.
Hitch a ride
whatever.
on that carbon.
Yeah, hitch a ride.
Bam.
And are removed from solution. And so that's happening in our fermenters as yeast are respirating CO2. They are deodorizing liquids. So certain flavor compounds, like peach is a classic one. If you want peach in your beer, try apricot.
No, it's try apricot.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you just put the peach in and like late secondary?
But you got to add a ton of it.
Keep it sealed and let it sit.
It's a small. The flavor compounds in peaches are small and fragile, so they tend to fuck off.
I mean, even making a spooning valve. I mean, that's not an average homebrew piece of equipment, but
they've got some easy equipment these days. But you're still pumping CO2 like into the headspace, and you're still going to be losing aromatics. And so that's why, hey, use apricot. It's a larger molecule. It tends to stick around better. And if your friends can tell the difference between
beer?
if your friends can tell the difference between apricot and peach beer, don't give them free beer. Fuck.
Damn, charging me for my beer these days.
Oh man, I'm already halfway through this beer. Holy shit, this is good.
It is a beer podcast. We have room for more.
I did buy a 6-pack. And this is the second broadcast of the day. We took a break this time.
Second podcast of the day.
We learned valuable lessons over the holidays.
Oh, what? The last time we did 2 in a day?
Last time we tried to do 2 in a day.
We're like, we're going to fix our last 2 in a day by doing 2 in a day.
I mean, I mumble on a good day, but after a couple beers on the second broadcast, I guess I was slurring my words.
Yeah. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's all right. We re-recorded that one. You got to hear it last week.
Beer cast.
It's a beer cast. Man, that's a taste. I am blown away by the mango-ness of this beer. When I was in Hawaii, I don't think mango came up on my list of beers that I tried, but I had passion fruit and I had pineapple. That's Pog beers. That was a good one.
Yeah. And who's the owner again?
This one, Meg Gill.
Meg Gill.
If you come up to Washington for anything, drop us a line, Meg. We would love to chit chat with you about your beers. If this is any indication of your offerings. Holy shit, this is good. I'm gushing over this beer.
Ben loves this beer.
I really love this beer.
Yeah.
I really love.
And you just got back from Hawaii, so
I did.
So you were enjoying some other fruited beer, some.
Oh yeah,
Hawaiian-
the
Hawaiian
Pog
fruit
beer was pretty good. That's passion, orange, and guava.
Oh, wow.
That's pretty good. Apparently, Amaretti does a limited edition Pog syrup. I want to get a
Ooh, okay.
That sounds-
So now this Pog beer was from a brewery in Hawaii.
Yeah, who did that? God, I can't. We were 10 days on island in the sun. And,
Was this a light beer, lighter beer?
a lot of them were wheat beers.
Wheat beers.
There were a couple IPAs and a couple of hazies, but I noticed a kind of a trend line on that. And
I wonder
we'll
why
talk
we
about
do.
that.
Why do we do a fruited beer as a wheat beer? As what is that going to be? 50% wheat.
Well, I know we're going to talk about that here in a
are we?
little
Okay.
bit. Yeah.
All right, good. Okay, we're gonna get there.
Like hint, keep listening.
All right. We're getting there.
I imagine
These are all things I like to talk about when I drink beer.
some of the IPAs. If you've got a strong hop presence, you're
Your
going
fruits
to be
not gonna-
competing. So you're probably limited to the fruits that'll stand up with it.
Grapefruit.
Well, grapefruit's an easy one.
Citrus, yeah.
Citrus is kind of default fruit position because it's bloody easy to get into.
Like how many really citrus forward beers, are they other than some of these IPAs?
Yeah, I know. Farm Strong does a couple of
Blood orange.
one-off beers. Every Friday they've got a Flavor Friday, and one of them they had massive amounts of raspberry into I think a porter or a stout.
That'd be good.
I was drooling just talking about it.
Yeah.
You can't tell, folks, but I'm drooling right now. Certain fruits are gonna I would say raspberry is probably an easy one. You can get a lot of flavor out of raspberry in your beer, no problem. although the little seeds and the little hairs on raspberry, those become little sublimation sites. So if you add raspberry in secondary, don't turn your back on it. I made that mistake once, and it immediately erupted as rapidly expanding gases clogged up the airlock before I could even put it back in the fermentation chamber.
Oh, wow.
I poured it in, went to wash the fruit juice off my hands, and I turned around, and that thing was erupting. So watch out with raspberry. I imagine blackberry probably going to have the same, or strawberry would too. The little seeds on that one can get after you.
Yeah.
The mead crowd, they call those MEAs, or mead eruption accidents. So this is a BEA, a beer eruption accident.
I like it.
Should we get into the show?
Yeah.
I mean, it's been a couple minutes.
Let's give some love.
The cue is telling us it's time to spin on, which means we got to take a little break. Gonna go pay some bills, and we're gonna refill our glasses.
Oh, yeah.
With
Oh, yeah.
the mango cart from Golden Road
We're
Brewery.
gonna be drinking beer 30 this entire
Yeah,
hour.
this 6 man. I need to save one so I can have some tahini when I go.
You better.
So yeah, we're gonna take a little break. We'll be right back, folks, with another episode
Thank
of
you.
The Beer Craft.
Attention! Vacation's over, and from now on, you will brew when you please, and the first and last words out of your little brewer's mouth will be, I need a beer. Capiche?
Sir, yes, sir!
If you ladies leave my store, if you survive my special brewers unit training, you will be a homebrewer. You will be a minister of beer, ever praying for more beer. Do I make myself clear?
Sir, yes, sir!
Learn to brew with Northwest Brewer Supply. Classes are available today at nwbrewers.com.
Welcome back to the Beer Craft, folks. So put on your SPF and grab your shades. We're going to do a deep dive into some Paradise Brewing.
So Andrew, there is something about Hawaii that sticks with you long after you've left. It's not just the beaches, the waves, or even the food. It's the whole feeling of the place. The air's warm, sunsets stretch on forever, and somehow everything just tastes better.
That sounds like a good kind of a trip to me. You never want it to end. And I'm guessing beer is involved?
Of course. I mean, let's be honest. I can't go anywhere without checking out the local beer scene. Hawaii was something special, though. We stayed in Kona, and I had a chance to soak up the island's vibrant food and drink culture, everything from fresh seafood, shave ice, to night snorkeling with manta rays.
Hold up. Night snorkeling.
Yeah.
Manta rays at night?
Yeah, it was sick. It was very sick.
That's cool.
Recommended.
That's cool. Now, how big were the manta rays?
Well, they're huge.
Yeah.
I mean, they had like a 6-foot wingspan
Those are
on
cool.
them, and they were like literally in my grill. They came up at, like inches. They touched my mask.
Wow, that's
but their
super cool.
mouth, it just
It's
this
tiny.
huge- yeah, and they do these like upside down barrel rolls right in front of your face hole as you're like. It was sick. It was
Super
sick.
cool.
I'm all about the full experience. But one of my absolute favorite parts was exploring some Hawaiian-inspired beers. The way these guys use local ingredients like pineapple, passion fruit, some coconut, it was incredible. And it's not just throwing fruit into beer. These guys seem to really understand how to balance those flavors.
Okay. So what do you think was standing out?
Kona Brewing was a lot of fun. They got a coconut porter that is super fun. It's super laid back vibe in there. The Maui Brewing was their pineapple manna wheat, absolutely incredible. I looked for it today for the Beer 30 segment, but I couldn't find it. Of course, I was also separately also on a mission to find the best Mai Tai on the island.
Oh, classic Ben. Yeah. I know. I was already asking you if you were
Yeah.
the
No,
Mai
it was-
Tais.
Yeah, it was good. I was looking for. I'm a big fan of the 1944 Trader Vic Mai Tai. 2 ounces of rum, ounce of lime juice, ounce of orgeat. Done. Like, shake that shit up. I mean, I like the resort ones.
It's
They're
always good to multitask when it comes to drinking like that. And if it were me, I would probably be double fisted with a Mai Tai and a beer.
Yeah, like, why stop? That and some poke nachos, and you're good to go. But I do take my research seriously. I was trying to track down the perfect 44 Trader Vic's Mai Tai, but most of them were the beach, Don the Beachcomber resort Mai Tais.
Pouring an ounce here, an ounce there,
Yeah,
whatever.
I mean, it took me to some cool places and
Let me guess,
kind of
some
divey,
questionable places.
divey places.
Yeah.
I mean, like, it is a full-time community there, so you can have dive bars.
A dive bar in Hawaii?
you got off, further up the hill.
You're probably gonna get something good.
Yeah, some of them were like kind of like bought or phoned in attempts to placate my desires. Half of them didn't even know what the 44.
What the 44 Mai Tai
They
was.
didn't
It
have a
was like,
fucking clue.
We have rum and some fruit juice here, buddy.
Yeah, fuck off. Yeah,
Here, Wedo.
yeah.
Oh no, they call them howlies. Howley. Here, Howley.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, there's no barriers on this podcast.
No, it was cool. There was a couple places knew about it, but all of their orgeat, the almond syrup, was already used up into their like Mai Tai mix,
Right.
and so they couldn't do it because they didn't have any more. And that sucks. Back to the beers.
All right. That's when you start thinking about bringing some of those flavors into the brewing.
So I was there. I was surrounded by my wife, my youngest child, sister-in-law, and her family, and my sister-in-law, and I kept thinking, how do I bring
a lot of women?
It was a lot. It was fun. So I kept thinking, how do I bring these flavors home? And it struck me, so I need to do a Hawaiian-inspired homebrew kit, something to capture the juicy tropical character in a way that any homebrewer could recreate.
So instead of smuggling pineapples back in your luggage, you're working on a recipe?
I mean, I considered it, but customs might have had some issues. So,
They'd probably check on that.
taking a look at like the best ways to capture those flavors, pineapples and passion fruits. Of course, that was kind of the difficulty. I don't want to deal with a bunch of whole pineapple, and for reasons which we'll get into in a minute.
Right. Well, and that brings us to today. We're diving into what makes Hawaiian-inspired beers so good, the beer styles for adding fruit, and what homebrewers need to know about brewing with pineapple and a passion fruit.
Let's get into it.
I've been on this Hawaiian-inspired brewing kick ever since your trip. And what is it about the island flavors that is so impressive to you?
Availability. That stuff. It's everywhere. it's not just in the grocery store. There's roadside stands, backyard trees. From the deck of the house we stayed in, I could reach over and grab a soursop on one side of the building and papaya on the other side. You can put it in cocktails, put it in desserts. Everything is just so fresh and vibrant and just bursting with flavor.
Naturally, you had to see how it was being translated into beer.
How could I not?
Naturally.
The first sip of the pineapple wheat, there was a tart, juicy passion fruit sour. I cannot remember for the life of me who made that. But I realized just how well these tropical flavors work in beer. It's not just about the sweetness. There's added complexity, acidity, just real depth.
Right. Well, it's not like fruit and beer and is a new idea.
No. Belgians
goes way back.
Belgians have been doing it for centuries. You got your lambics with cherries, raspberries. And these days, what's happening now with modern craft brewing, it's a whole different level of experimentation. I mean, we just had a mango beer that was fantastic. But brewers are dialing in ways to highlight fruits' acidity, sweetness, and aromatics without beating them, getting beat up on it.
Right. So when it comes to the Hawaiian fruit, which one really stood out for you to make a beer from?
Top two, pineapple and passion fruit, without a doubt.
Passion fruit sounds good.
Pineapple, juicy sweetness, just screams tropical.
Yep.
But it has some brewing challenges. We're going to get into that later. Passion fruit, on the other hand, or lilikoi, as it's known locally, it's kind of this electric jolt of tartness and aroma. It really lights up in a beer.
I don't think I've had that. So
it's so good.
Okay, well, let's get a little nerdy for a second. What makes pineapple and passion fruit different from these other fruit additions?
Well, unlike just throwing in a bunch of raspberries or cherries, for one thing, pineapple is tricky. It contains bromelain, which is an enzyme that breaks down protein. So, if you tried to do a pineapple marinade on steak, it would turn into mush. That's going to make a mess of your beer's body and head retention. Passion fruit, on the other hand, is naturally high in acidity, which is going to make it a perfect match for IPAs or sours like a Berliner Weiss or a Goes.
Ooh, that sounds good. So with pineapple, you have to be careful of when you add it and how you add it.
Yeah, too early and it can thin out your beer too much. But if you handle it right, you're going to get an intense, fresh tropical character. That's worth it.
So you're going to add it late in primary?
I generally do a lot of fruit additions late. If you're using whole pineapple, you got to pasteurize it. You got to cook it. That breaks down the bromelain and leaves it nicer. I mean, it deactivates it.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, you also have to realize that pineapple has a lot of the yeast in and throughout the fruit.
Oh, sure. Like you're making like
yeast.
Tepache or something.
Yeah.
That stuff. We should do a show on Tepache.
Oh, we might even talk about it.
Yeah, it's
talk about it.
It is
So-
freaking delicious.
Yeah. All right. So what about the passion fruit?
Passion fruit's going to be a little bit easier to work with. No enzymatic issues, and that acidity. We're talking. It's up there with with bitterness. It's going to be beautiful with like Citra or Mosaic. Some bright citrusy character and a hazy IPA. It would be fantastic.
Yeah. So between the two, passion fruit is more forgiving, easier to work with, I'd say.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pineapple brings something special if you know how to manage it, if you know how to use it.
Yeah, and so getting back to the designing a beer kit, with coming up with a recipe that kind of takes the hassle out of it. I didn't bring home 10 bushels of pineapple.
Right. But what style of beer are you thinking? Have you nailed it down yet? We've discussed why fruit belongs in beer and how pineapple and passion fruit bring those big tropical flavors. But let's get into the real question. What beer styles work the best?
One of my takeaways from Hawaii was so many of the Hawaiian style inspired beers. They all had a common foundation. They were built on a wheat beer base.
Okay, that makes sense. Wheat beers are soft, slightly sweet profile, lets the fruit shine through, without overwhelming
Exactly,
it.
exactly.
Other flavors.
So whether like Hefeweizen, wheat beer, American wheat, the beers had this light, refreshing body that complemented the fruit instead of competing with it. That's passion fruit or pineapple, they just fit.
But wheat beers aren't the only option?
No. If you like sours, you're in luck because like Berliner Weiss, Goes, those are made with fruit additions, so we're already on that right track. I think that passion fruit, it's going to be a natural match for those sour styles. A bright acidity enhancing the beer, some citrusy notes. Oh God, that sounds really good.
Oh, passion fruit goes in.
Shut up. That's good.
No brainer.
Yeah. Goes. It's going to have a slight salinity and tartness, which will play nicely with passion fruit, resulting in like a crisp, citrusy, mouth-watering beer. Tastes like sunshine in a glass.
Yum. But what if you're more of a hophead?
Well, good news.
Can we do fruit and
I had
hops?
some fruited IPAs, a couple of West Coast IPAs and hazies when I was in Hawaii. I mentioned the Maui Brewing's pineapple manna wheat. That was a fantastic beer. There were some hazies. There's a lot of hazies out there that already have kind of juicy tropical hop character, like Citra, Mosaic, Eldorado.
Now is it man o wheat, like man o war?
It's very It's just as dangerous too.
Good, good play on words there.
I see what you did there.
Sorry,
Derailing it.
Derail the pod. That actually sounds incredible. You get the fruit flavors and the hop intensity working together.
Yeah, exactly. So the key is using the fruit, both what's already in the hops, rather than overpowering it. We're going for balance here. Your hazy IPAs, a lot of those don't have a ton of bitterness, so letting that fruit flavors shine.
Right, kind of like a juicy, without
just give me more.
All right, so wheat beers, sours, hazy IPAs. Like I said, kind of maybe the super juicy IPA with the mango or whatever would be top of the list. Any other contenders on this list?
I had a thoughts about blonde ales and saisons would also be a great choice. Blonde ale's got a touch of pineapple or passion fruit. Yep. Ooh, that's going to be good. A saison, God, you can't go wrong with a saison. A little bit of funky with some
fruit,
passion fruit or pineapple. Yeah. Would drink a lot of that. Saison just means seasonal, so if the fruit is fresh, make a beer with it.
Well, so basically, if you want to brew with tropical fruit, we have a lot of options.
Plenty.
A buddy of mine used to brew a coconut blonde, which was amazing.
Yeah, I've had some of those, some beers like that.
Scrappy Punk Brewing.
Oh yeah.
He's out of business now.
Sad face.
Yeah, but it was really super good.
Yeah. So I think
Greg made an excellent beer.
Sadie's they were fantastic. Yeah. So I think the key is going to be choosing a base beer that lets the fruit be the star. After trying so many incredible island-inspired beers, so I knew I wanted to focus on these flavors for a beer kit I've been working on.
All right. Okay, as long as we got the style figured out, it's time to tackle the real challenge here. And how do we actually brew with pineapple and the passion fruit? So we talked about the best beer styles for fruit additions, and now let's get into the details of actually brewing with this fruit. Starting with the pineapple, you said earlier that it could be tricky. What makes this so challenging?
So it is one of my favorite fruits, but when it comes to brewing, it can be a troublemaker. We talked about the enzyme bromelain, and it literally breaks down in proteins that are going to thin out your beer and wreck your head retention.
Yeah,
the foam in your beer, you need those proteins to to bind together to trap the gas, and that's what's going to give you the bubbles.
And those pineapple, the pineapple basically eats those.
Yeah, absolutely. So I want a nice foamy head on my beer, not something that goes flat the second I pour it. So you don't handle. So you got to cook it basically. If you don't handle it correctly, you can end up with a beer that feels thin and lacks mouthfeel, no bubbles. Wow.
So what's the fix here?
So we talked about what to do with it. Pasteurizing around 160 degrees. I would put it in a late edition. That way, when we talked about not destroying aromatics, so
Late
putting
edition
in
in the
let it
boil?
go through. No, I would put it in secondary.
In secondary.
Or post primary fermentation,
Okay.
like after high krausen, as the yeast start dropping out. Bang it in there if you're not, if you don't transfer to a secondary.
So I'm just
Is it-
I'm not dumping like raw pineapple in here.
No. Unless you want a science experiment
Yeah.
gone wrong.
I've done that.
So you've got another challenge though, even if you heat it up, and that is acidity.
Right. So pineapple is super acidic.
Yeah, it's like 3 something.
Yeah. What is that going to do to your beer?
So the acidity can throw off the balance, especially in those lighter styles. If your pH drops too low, you can end up with a beer that's too tart, and the malt sweetness can't cut it, right? And so we've got sweetness of malt, we got bitterness from hops. That acidity can overpower.
Each.
Yeah.
Yep. So how do we keep all these in check?
So recipe design, malt bill that can handle the acidity. A good amount of wheat or oats is going to help because they've got add body, softness, and that the extra proteins in those malts will counteract any.
So a nice
some of the-
wheat beer with a lot of oat
probably
addition in there.
Why it's so popular is it's that extra protein structure is pushing us towards in a better direction for our beer finish.
All right. Sounds good. So I guess we already kind of talked about secondary. Why secondary?
Well, add it too early, yeast are going to gobble up all the fruit sugars,
Yeah.
and you're going to lose a lot of aromatics. And post fermentation, you're just keeping them in there.
Right. That makes sense. So to sum it up, heat the pineapple to kill the enzymes. Now, does that mean we're going to cook the pineapple prior?
Yeah,
Do we know how much we're going to heat it up?
160 degrees.
Okay. 160 degrees and that's just the juice. I'm going to bring the juice
Juice or puree.
or puree
Yeah, anything like that.
to 160 and then
I
let it
like
cool.
juice because you don't got solids in there.
Yeah.
If you could, strain a puree or something like
Yeah.
that, or throw it through a juicer. But heating that liquid up there is going to do it.
Yeah. All right. So that makes sense. So to sum it up, I'm going to heat the pineapple to 160 or the puree to 160 and then let it cool. That'll kill all the enzymes. It'll start to balance the acidity. You can balance acidity a little more with a solid malt bill and add it at the right stage to keep the tropical flavors intact.
Yeah, if you do it right, you're going to get bright, juicy pineapple without the problems. I mean, that's the goal.
Yeah, and I know you've been experimenting with different ways to bring the pineapple flavor into the home brewing world.
I have. Finding that best method, was kind of the trick there. But pineapple isn't the only fruit I fell in love with in Hawaii. That passion fruit, that lilikoi, that's a big game changer.
All right, well, let's get into that. Brewing with passion fruit.
All right. So passion fruit, also known as lilikoi, locally, it was a game changer. I expected great pineapple in Hawaii. It is the capital, but I was not prepared for how bold and aromatic passion fruit would be. Passion fruit was everywhere. Juices, you can get it in syrups in just about every little corner market. Pastries, they have one called a malasada, which is a Portuguese cream-filled donut, and there was a lilikoi custard cream in like the lightest risen donut, kind of hot stick.
Wow.
This is so good. Malasadas,
Great.
ask for them by name.
Yeah, I'm guessing you didn't take long to wonder how it would work in beer then. Yeah?
Oh, seconds. Took me seconds to figure to wonder about it. It has a bright, tart, citrusy punch. Punch is an appropriate word. It is really strongly tart, but like drinking sunshine. When I started seeing it in beers, it kind of clicked. It's made for brewing.
Yeah. So what makes passion fruit so easy to work with
well,
compared to pineapple?
No bromelain for one thing. So we don't have to worry about head retention. That natural acidity is going to go great in like sours, Berliner Weiss goes. I wouldn't be afraid in several, blondes or saison. A passion fruit
So
saison makes
this will
it
just
delicious.
blend right in.
Yeah, I think a saison would be fantastic because you're going to get those like tart citrus notes from certain of those yeast strains. That kind of peppery. Oh God, I'm drooling again.
All right. Oh God dang. So passion fruit and the Berliner Weiss and Goza is easy to win.
Yep.
What about any other styles? Well, we talked about blonde.
Let's see. Well, the saison I just mentioned.
But, yep. You know what we're getting into.
Hazies. Hazies would be fantastic. We're already into those tropical punchy beers. The citrus tang pairs with obviously Citro, Mosaic, Galaxy, Talus, Eldorado. Nectaron would be a fan-fucking-tastic one. The Cryopop blend is going to dial up all those flavors.
All those passion fruit flavors.
Yep.
I love that. So you're enhancing what's already there instead of just adding the fruit for the sake of it. Now, the passion fruit, how much? Well, okay, I'm sure we're going to get into it. Yeah, I think passion fruit in an IPA or hazy is going to be great.
Yeah. Easy win. Easy to work with. Wide range of styles. It's going to bring out the best flavors instead of creating too many challenges. Again, we're going to be adding that late in fermentation, post, into secondary or post, after high Krausen. And you're just going to keep all those aromatics intact.
All right, yeah, that makes sense. Adding it too early would just like let the yeast eat it up.
Or break them down in
all
the,
those
if we add them in a
fresh
boil, we can, if you start boiling some of these fruits, you're going
They're
to bash
gone.
the shit out of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So whether you're using a fresh pulp or a high quality puree, you're just trying to keep the aromas in there and keep them in there as long as possible. You want those aromas meeting you before your glass hits your lip.
So, for the win between pineapple and passion fruit.
Oh God, don't make me pick. Pineapple is a fun challenge. Passion fruit is going to be a little bit effortless when it comes to brewing, but man, they're both going to shine beautifully in their own right in the right beer.
Yeah, all right, Ben. We've covered why pineapple and passion fruit are incredible in the beer and the beer styles to use them in, and how to actually brew with them. But I know there's no way you walked away from the experience without wanting to bring the flavors into home brewing.
Yeah, the whole time I was tasting the beers, I kept thinking like, how do I make something for that homebrewers can easily recreate? Getting fresh ripe pineapple wasn't going to be an option. Some of the stuff that gets shipped.
I can't
over,
imagine TSA.
No,
I'm sure they
there's-
allow some.
Pineapple was okay, but I wasn't about to buy 14 new luggage, pieces of luggage just to trek it home.
pull over some pineapples.
I know Costco's got pineapple, but you got to let them ripen, and man, there's nothing quite like
they
it.
They ripen in the shipment over, so you're great.
To a degree,
right? You have to let
they
them
were
on your counter.
compared to on island, not even close. Not even close. So instead of dealing with customs, I wanted to find something that would be practical. Make it easy to store, prep, no enzyme issues. I needed another way.
All right. So, and that's where your brewing experience kicked in here?
I started experimenting with those high-quality fruit purees from Amaretti. So unlike the artificial extracts that taste like candy or cough syrup, these taste like fruit because that's what they're made with. Yeah. They'll give you all the bright, juicy flavors of pineapple or passion fruit, or they've got mango, all of them without any of the headaches.
Oh my gosh. I've spent hours chopping. There's no heating if you use that. No worrying about the head retention. I've spent hours chopping and prepping fruit.
Well, yeah, that's the goal. I wanted to design something that gives homebrewers a way to brew the beer that feels like Hawaiian in glass. I didn't want them to have to work too hard to do it.
Right.
I want a beer that brings those those flavors home without having to fly and fly to Kona and smuggle it home.
Right. So tell me, what's the vision for this beer kit?
So think light, refreshing,
Yum.
packed with tropical character. A wheat beer base is going to keep things soft and smooth.
Agreed.
The perfect balance of pineapple or passion fruit, something that's easy to brew. I'm thinking of going with, I was inspired. This beer we drank today uses Bravo, but I'm toying with Talus and Nectaron as the hop additions for this beer.
So you're getting close to having this all defined. Where are you in this whole process?
We're still in the planning stage. I want to do a brew day before I release it. I want to be able to taste it and make any final adjustments.
Yeah, is this something you usually do? Will you usually have a brew day?
I try to.
And do you invite people?
Yeah, the customers get to. I want it. If I brew the beer, by the time we release it, there's something for people to try when they're in the store, and that makes it easy to sell that way. It's like, oh, you tasted it, you already liked it,
right?
Take it home.
You made it. You came back to taste it.
Yeah.
And here, buy a kit now.
Usually, it's like a 2-month window of preparation and brewing. I do have like a plumbing project I have to deal with before I can brew. All this cold weather popped a water line to the brew stand.
Well, it's getting close to spring. I mean, even though it's snowing out, but by the time we're done with this and you got your recipe up and running.
Oh yeah.
Start a brew day. It's going to be a perfect springtime beer.
I think so, and I think it's going to transport you. When you take a sip, you're going to immediately think of
vacation,
warm breezes and crashing waves and fresh fruit stands by the road.
Oh, yum. Well, and once it's ready, people will be able to brew their own. Oh, taste that Hawaii from your own home.
It's going to be great.
I like it.
It's going to be great. I want home. So I would love it if they could experience what I experienced.
Right.
How these incredible flavors in beer and how easily you can bring that kind of I-like magic into your own brew house.
Right. I love it. And I know you're not done yet. There's always more testing. There's always more experimenting.
Always. That's the fun part, right?
Always. And drinking.
Drinking's good.
We'll be keeping everyone up to date when this beer kit comes along. In the meantime, we've got other ideas and experience brewing with fruit. Let us know. Or if you have any ideas, let us know.
As always, folks, cheers and happy brewing.
Happy brewing.
In the home brewing system, beer, wine, cider, and mead are made by brewers. These are their stories presented by Northwest Brewers Supply. Mazda Man asked if he wanted water. Mazda Man knows that drinking 8 glasses of water is harder than chugging 8 beers. He also knows that beer is mostly water, hence chugging 8 beers is like drinking 8 glasses of water. And the only place to get more water is Northwest Brewers Supply.
Hey, welcome back to the Beer Craft, folks.
Cheers, Andrew.
Cheers, Ben.
We're having another beer. Why not?
Why not? I love it. I mean, we got the mango beer. I wanted to come back and talk about something we mentioned this tiny bit, tapache.
Oh, God, that stuff is so good.
Now that's tropical pineapple.
Yeah.
And you don't run into the bromelain issues
because there's no proteins anyway.
No proteins in there. It's basically just your pineapple, piloncillo, which is sugar, brown sugar.
Yeah, and
it's a Mexican brown sugar in a cone.
Puck shaped.
Yep,
rock hard.
And then I used. Oh my gosh!
A little cinnamon in there.
Yeah, a little cinnamon, some spice, a little cinnamon.
Yeah.
I don't know nutmeg. I can't remember nutmeg. There's something else. I don't have my recipe with me again. I don't even have my recipe anymore, which sucks.
Sad face.
Yeah.
Well, I'll give you mine.
I make it up anyways. So, and what I did was, Ben, you and I were talking a little earlier about a recipe that you have, and In order to get to 5%, what do you have to do with this? Well, it takes a lot of pineapples to get there, and you can take what the traditional tepache is. They take the pineapple skins
And core.
only.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the core, the very center.
Yeah,
core.
imagine everybody in a fruit cart just chopping pineapple all day.
Yep.
What do they do with the waste? They
Right.
made something tasty out
They
of it.
made tepache.
Yeah.
So I couldn't. I wasn't making any pineapple beer, and I didn't really have any other use for it other than making pizza.
Right.
But so I juiced that pineapple. I cut my skins, juiced the meat, cut up all the other bits. So I used every part of the pineapple except for the green.
Yeah.
And the pineapple has its natural yeast on it within all those little
1 micron layer
Things.
thick of wild yeast and bacteria.
Oh my
on
God, it's so
everything.
good. So you don't have to, you don't have to add sugar because you're adding the pineapple juice itself, and you don't have to add yeast.
That's where my recipe is going to differ a little bit. It's also pineapple juice, but I think Erin used 1 piloncillo per pineapple that she used, so
Okay.
brought it up with that. And I don't remember the exact number of pineapple, but I'll share the recipe with you good folks here.
I think
on
I would
the
do-
podcast. It was friggin' delicious. Holy shit!
I would do 2 or 3. I would say almost it's 1 pineapple per gallon. I would say that. That would be probably the minimum.
It's a good start.
Yeah.
Go home and do it. I've been seeing a lot of videos on TikTok
And all you do is
reels about
you
tepache right now.
just get a plastic container, anything. I used a plastic container. The lid was barely on it. The lid wouldn't seal anyways.
Yeah.
And you just want to keep everything out of it. It'll
dust out.
spontaneously ferment from the yeast, and it's delicious.
Shit,
and you
it's
just
so good.
You just let it go, let it sit on your counter.
It's really nice.
You
if
don't have to-
blend it with a Mexican lager.
Ooh,
Like a Pacifico in there. Bullshit, it's good. I haven't done it with Pacifico, but I've done it with another one, and it's fantastic.
I get my tepache about 6%.
That's good.
And then if you're smart, and if you can find one, get a 3-gallon plastic jug with a spigot and a
Just
shitty
pour away.
lid. And
you could put it in a keg
you could.
and keep the carbonation there and keep it right. Just keep the yeast down.
You need to just take the during fermentation. You'd have to release the CO2.
Oh, just to pour it in there. Sure, you'd have to agitate the shit out of it, wouldn't you?
Well, you have to
Well,
during the fermentation. It's a slow ferment.
I mean, I've seen some of them like a couple of days. And then they're
longer
serving
than a
it.
couple days. Yeah. It's probably 10-day ferment at least, 10 or 11. You can see the bubbles.
Yeah.
It's super cool.
But there's not going to be any more bubbles than your average beer sitting in your fermenter, right? There's only there's a limited threshold of gas that can stay in suspension, like 1.2 volume
Right, but-
of CO2.
right.
And so transferring that into a keg, you wouldn't have to degas that. We don't transfer beer out of secondary
But it still
by
needs to
degassing
ferment.
it.
You still
Right, let
need
it
to
ferment out.
Right.
And then keg it.
Yes.
That would be
Yes.
ledge.
I just drink it right out of the
Yeah, it's not going to last that long either way you do it,
doesn't.
folks.
People loved it.
It tastes like s'more a lot.
Yes. It was delicious.
So we'll share that. We'll share those recipes in the notes for this episode. Before we wrap things up for today, I want to make a shameless plug. By the time you guys hear this, it's going to be mid-February, which means you don't have much time if you're going to be brewing your own stout or Irish red ale for St. Patrick's Day on March the 17th. It's not too late.
We need to get on it.
And so I got good news for you. I'm going to make it a little bit easier. All the dry Irish Stout kit, the Skagit Stout, and the Red Tide Irish Red Ale are both on sale, 25% off. Does not include yeast, but you got some choices on yeast. All through the month of February, you can get those on sale and brew your own Irish tradition. I like to say.
Sounds amazing.
Yeah, it's going to be
Good
great.
deal, Ben. Good
Thank
deal.
you, man.
Yeah, good job. Thank you.
Yeah, and thank you, Andrew, and thank you, folks, for listening to us.
And
I know
thank you all.
I can't believe we're on episode 17.
17,
That's
I know, it's
pretty,
great.
like, I think I read we're currently 5 episodes further than the average.
Oh, right on.
Yep. So on average, podcasts end after 12 episodes.
Crazy.
Yeah. So happy episode 17.
Thank
we're
you
into-
all. Thank
into
you
new
all for making this
territory.
happen.
Yeah. We
This
love
is
it. We love
amazing.
it.
And I love it.
Yeah.
I love it every Wednesday.
Yeah, we're up to like 830 total downloads.
Excellent.
Like, that's fucking awesome.
Great.
Yeah, that's
great.
good. Thank you. Glad
Thank
you guys enjoy it.
Thank everyone. We'd
Yeah.
love to see some comments. And
Yeah.
we love beer.
We love beer.
Yep.
We're big fans. I think you can tell. So we'll sign off until
right.
next week.
Cheers.
Cheers, folks.
Thank you for joining us on The
The
Beer
Beer Craft.
Craft.